welcome back to Sam's Project Bench. Now it's been a little while since I posted my last video. Stuff went a little bit crazy towards the end of last year with 2020. Recently purchased a new place, so that took all my priority unfortunately, but I'm starting to settle in and I'm ready to get back to making videos. So the new place doesn't quite have a workshop, but we'll make it work. And today I'm gonna try to rebuild the dash to my LS1 Patrol. Alright, so here's my dash out of my GQ y60 Patrol. Now this is the first section I plan to tackle. Now it's got a foam crash pad on top. In theory I could get a flexi prime it and then paint it. Is probably the easiest option to actually tackle this. I'm thinking because that's going to be exposed to people grabbing onto things while we're out for driving. I think I prefer that to actually be recovered. Not necessarily the easiest task to do, because usually when you go to recover it, you come into these areas here where the vents actually mount. There isn't usually enough room to actually wrap the vinyl, leather, whatever you choose to use around there. So that's something you need to take in mind when you're attempting something like this. This here, though they look fairly simple, they can be annoyingly complex to actually cover. So if you're wanting to change the color of your dash, I recommend getting a good flexible plastic primer and priming that, then hitting it with an acrylic paint, and you could even clear coat if you wanted to. But I'm going to do it the hard way and cover this in a marine grade vinyl with a leather print. So essentially it's a marine grade synthetic leather. So that's for the crash pad there. Now for the frame and the rest of the structure, I will be painting that. Yeah, there's no point wrapping that in the vinyl. Where all these are, on the metal backing and around area where tools and bits and pieces and things are going in and you're utilising, it is likely that you're going to scratch and nick the vinyl over time. So I'm just going to paint that. It's also a massive time saver, because to wrap that it'd be quite a mission. So that's the plan. So everything metal is going to be painted black, and everything like this is going to be wrapped in vinyl. So the other pieces that go here, the shrouds that go over the center cluster and the gauges here, they were likely to be painted, but that's to be decided in future. I'm thinking this vent here, I probably will paint that as well, because off to the side's never really used, and I may decide to mount my tacho back on that. It's where it was before I removed it, but who knows, I might decide to delete the external tacho. So, alright, so that's the game plan. Let's get back to it. You find a lot of these crash pads actually removable from the frame, which can be a huge help, as it allows you to actually wrap the vinyl and finish it correctly and then mount it to the frame after. You just got to be aware when you actually wrapping the dash itself, how much tension you actually put on it, because that can actually warp how the crash pad actually sits, and can make life a little hard getting it back on there and getting it to sit and look nice. But I'll pull this crash pad off, remove the grab bar, and we'll look at what we're dealing with. Alright, so the crash pad's removed from the frame itself. This is the the vinyl I'm going to be using. It's just a leather print marine vinyl, and that should handle the task of sitting in the sun all day, every day pretty well. So the next thing I'm going to do is clean this down. I'm going to use a wax and grease remover, clean her up, might even scuff it up a little bit. It's a matter of cutting out some of the vinyl and then gluing both layers. The vinyl cut, I've given this a good scrub with the wax and grease remover. Now I've got my glue gun, my sprayable contact adhesive. Now I'm just going to give both layers a nice even coat. I'm going to heat up the vinyl and layer the vinyl up over top. That's enough talking, let's get to work. Alright, the vinyl and the crash pad are both being glued up. They're both a little tacky now, so I'm confident I can lay the vinyl on top and it's going to stick pretty well. So we've got to be careful around these opening sections because we want to feed as much material in there while still allowing the rest of it to sit flat. Because as we push it down into the crevices, the material is going to want to stretch, so the more material we can feed in there from the start, the easier it is going to be for us. Alright, so I've got the bulk of it wrapped now. Now we're just going to have to split the inside of these here, just to add a relief so we can actually wrap the vinyl into the crevice there. So I just want to cut down the center and probably just a little nick towards the corners. We don't want to get too close because the vinyl will actually shrink up as we try to stretch it into place. So if you cut it too close, you'll actually start seeing nicks in the finished job, and it's not what we want, so we'll try to avoid that. These we can cut a release into there, just allow us to wrap it around a little bit easier. See, we've got the bulk of it wrapped. Now I haven't wrapped around yet, so this is just a preliminary fit up. So it looks like everything's going to go in. Now as expected, the vent is on the tight side. You can see it starting to bow underneath. Sometimes you can get the little Dremel or rotary tool and actually just take a fraction off from underneath or to the sides, but on occasions if you push it far enough it just settles into place and is acceptable. Now this is still the original grey colour, so I need to still figure out what I'm going to do with that. I can either wrap it in the same material and then I can do a baseball stitch in behind to wrap it up, or I can paint it, but not quite decided yet. I'm going to flip this over and glue it to the back side just to finish off this piece. Now in hindsight I probably should have got a plain plastic, so I could have laid the vinyl on in increments without the glue touching, So if you look close around here, we can see where I wasn't completely perfect with how I wrapped it. So if you're a little bit more particular about it, this is for my own job, so my own vehicle. So I'm not as worried as I would be if I was doing it for someone else. But for me, and just an off-road rig that kind of looks pretty nice, I think it's going to be perfect. Okay, so the crash pad is wrapped, finished off. So the next step is to take this frame. I'm going to scruff it up, get rid of that throttle screw, clean it down, scruff her up, wax and grease remover, and then I'll prime it and paint it. And this is just going to be a rattle can job. There's probably going to be a spray painter somewhere screaming at the screen. I'm just using the super cheap auto acrylic 1K primer, black paint and a clear coat. Alright, the fur coat black is on, and I'm thinking it's pretty much covered everything it needs to. There's obviously spots hasn't covered, but all this, the mounting brackets, are never going to see anyway. I'm thinking everywhere that's actually going to be seen is actually covered. The glare of the light is a little bit disorientating. Kind of looks like there might be lighter or darker spots, but as I get close and walk around, it looks like everything is mostly even enough for me not to worry. So I'm gonna let this layer set, give it another 10-15 minutes, and then I'm gonna go over it with some clear. So we've finished putting the last clear coats on, and it's been sitting for probably half an hour, so definitely far from being cured, but it's set enough just so we can move it and take a closer look. Hopefully this will sit. So it's definitely not that mirror finish that you get with a high quality gun in your 2-pack paints, but I don't think the mirror finish would have actually suited for the dash. So it's just got a nice shine to it. If I want, I can always sand it and polish it up to get a cleaner shine to it. Might do that in future, but once it actually cures, you can take a closer look at it and reassess it then. made a lot of progress on my dash. So I've got the crash pad all covered and got the frame of the dash painted. So that's probably the worst of the job. The grab handle is going to be quite a complex task, but we'll be able to work through it and get it fixed. But that's going to be the end of this episode. I'm going to have to do the rest of it in another part. So we've still got a bunch of plastics to do, the grab handle to cover, and that will be coming up in the next episode. So thank you for sticking around this long and watching. Enjoy. Good day.